What's going on? This is the In the Pocket podcast. I'm Logan Martin. That's Dana Cook. Max is going to be joining us soon. He's a little busy right now. No worries. He'll jump in and we'll get talking some football all together. But yeah, great week 11. The 4 p.m. slates didn't result in kind of what the fans expected. We thought that 4 p.m. slate was going to be a banger, which in some cases it was. But for the most part, I would say I'm a little underwhelmed. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely underwhelming. I mean, the 49ers game was a blowout. The Rams Seahawks game, it was a 2-point game, but it felt like the Rams were in control for most of the game.
All of the engagement helps us out. We've been working extra hard just trying to get extra shorts, stuff posted on social media. Like, comment, subscribe.
What I was surprised was the Ravens Browns game. It was Browns were leading it for up until the fourth quarter, and as a Steelers fan, I was like, "Oh, come on, Cleveland, you got this. Give us that two-game division lead." And obviously, they choked the game away. But I think the one we should put an emphasis on is that KC Denver game.
Mm.
Is this the end of a dynasty in KC?
I thought it was interesting because I don't know if you caught it, but coming out of halftime, um, I can't remember who the sideline reporter is, but they interviewed Coach Sean Payton for the Broncos, and basically he's like, "This is right where we want. It's a 6-6 game," and everyone's like listening, like, "What the hell are you trying to say? It's a tie game. You're going against Patrick Mahomes, and you don't have any offensive firepower." But Sean Payton's like, "We're good. This is exactly where we want to be. The Chiefs are a first half team." And he proved it. They put it on him in the second half, and really a game that was expected to be won by the Chiefs because they're in desperation mode. I think that says a lot more about the Broncos than it does about the Chiefs, to be honest with you. Um, are the Chiefs playoff hopeful? They're not really in the playoff picture right now, but they still have a way to squeeze in. But I think that says a lot about the Broncos being able to handle business at home when the whole public's against you.
Oh, it's funny you bring Sean Payton up saying 6-6 is right where we want him. Because back in Super Bowl 14, Chuck Noll said the same thing about the LA Rams. The Steelers were down 10-6 at halftime, and they interviewed Chuck Noll, and he said this is where we want to be. And the Steelers ended up winning the game 31-19, and it just proved that like you mentioned, the Chiefs being a first half team, the Rams at the time were a first half team, and the Steelers were that second half team, whereas the Broncos are that second half team this year. So it's pretty funny.
What do you think, Max? What are your thoughts on that game if you watched it?
Okay. Well, I'll start with this. We've been giving a lot of criticism to Bo Nix over the last few weeks, especially with his performance. And he didn't have a crazy performance on Sunday, but he did enough to get the job done. He didn't throw a touchdown, but he also didn't throw an interception, which is a big improvement over the last few weeks. He threw for almost 300 yards. He just got the job done against a divisional opponent. And we talked about earlier on what this game means for both teams. Are the Broncos fraudulent? Are the Chiefs in their season, are they over if they lose this game? This was a big game in the division. It kind of, in my eyes, ends the division race as far as I see it. Like, I don't think the Chargers have the roster to go up ahead of the Broncos now. I think the Broncos defense is good enough to win them the division at this point. And the Chiefs at 5-5, I think are, if they aren't out of the playoffs, they are not winning the division. They're going to be playing in a wild card game for the first time in a while. So I think that overall, Denver did a really good job game planning for this game. They face them twice a year. You expect a good game plan coming into this, but they really attacked their weaknesses. And in that fourth quarter, we saw Bo Nix really dealing and making the easy throws in order to get them in bounds, or in the right spot to kick the game winning field goal. So I honestly just impressed with the Broncos' performance in this game. I had the Chiefs winning. This is one of the few games I got wrong this week. And as a Bills fan, I'm happy about it. As a Broncos and Bo Nix doubter, I'm also happy to see it because I like being proven wrong by guys who can put up these kind of performances.
Well, I think it's something to say about the Kansas City offense. So just no running game this season. Kareem Hunt gets the majority of all the carries, other than one scramble by Patrick Mahomes. But 13 carries for 60 yards, and you average four and a half a carry. I'm giving it to Kareem Hunt 18, 20 times, especially in a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but like something that Nick Wright on first things first this or yesterday. He was saying, or maybe not even yesterday. I think it might have been on Saturday night. He said this that the Chiefs, he wasn't worried about them losing, but I think you have to go into this game with the record that you have, expecting that this is going to be a close game, especially in the divisional. But he said he predicted that Patrick Mahomes was going to get an early lead in this game and it would be gone from that point, that they would win. The first few drives, Kansas City could not get anything going, and Mahomes looked disgruntled behind that line. He really wasn't having a lot of time to throw. He throws the interception, obviously a bad interception too. Bad choice by Mahomes. And honestly, I think that set the tone for the rest of the game in that Chiefs offense.
No, 100%. And that D line for the Broncos, if it's not the Eagles, it's probably the Broncos and the Texans right up there, and Seattle. You can make a case, and the Rams. But like you said, one of the best D lines in the NFL definitely gave Patrick Mahomes problems. And we've seen time after time Patrick Mahomes just trying to make the deep downfield play and instead of taking what's given to him. Saw it against Buffalo. They shied away from the running game, didn't trust the running game, and they just try to throw it and make explosive plays happen. And it just didn't work like that. And the Chiefs can't play like that anymore. It's weird how we went from seeing Kansas City like 2019, 2020, 2021 so explosive, and then for the last couple years they're a team that gets away with winning 20-point games, and now they can't win a 20-point game. They can't win a shootout. They can't win a low-scoring game. Right now, I feel like this offense has no identity, and I say that because they have so many weapons and they're not making use of anyone right now. You tell me I thought Rasheed Rice was going to come back and just totally make a difference. He wasn't injured, he was suspended, and it's just not clicking right now.
Yeah, Kelsey was the only one who really was a factor for them all day.
Right.
He had 9 catches, 91 yards, averaging 10 yards per catch. You look at Rasheed Rice, he was averaging 6 yards per catch, but he had 6 catches of only 38. So I think that's also because Pat Surtain was put on him to stop him. Along with Worthy, he split the reps there. So you take out two of the biggest X factors for that offense, and then you have Kelsey, who more often than not is just running slants over the middle or
Option
cutback routes
routes. Yeah.
over the middle. And so when you have two other guys on the roster who are making those deeper routes and you take them away and you force the over the middle, yes, it can be frustrating at times because you're giving up maybe 8 or 9 yards every time. But with a defense so good, especially in the secondary, you're going to get those stops when you only have one guy that's a reliable pass catcher out there. So, uh,
Right.
another thing is it's been since before last Christmas that the Chiefs haven't scored 20 points in a game. So you've really got to give credit to this Broncos defense. And the offense wasn't incredible this game, but they did enough. And so really it was an all-around team effort. One of the better games for the Broncos, despite the offense not being uh super great.
Xander, is Bo Nix the clutchest quarterback in the NFL right now?
No, I still think it's Matthew Stafford.
Ooh. I mean,
Matthew Stafford.
we've seen two like 20-point comebacks by Bo Nix.
Yeah, but it doesn't give him the right to earn the title of most clutch QB in the league. There's a few guys I'd rather have over Bo Nix right now. I mean, Matthew Stafford has over 40 game-winning drives. He's been that guy for a long time. I mean, he just
This year. I know you would take Brady. I know you take Stafford. I know you take Lamar. I know you take Patrick Mahomes all over Bo Nix in a clutch situation. But I'm talking this year. We've seen them come back by 20 down by the Eagles. We've seen them come back by 20 again in another game, and it all happens in the fourth quarter.
yeah, if we're going by this year and only this year, then yeah, you
Right.
have to make the argument that Bo Nix is the most clutch QB in the league.
Right. I
I
mean,
think
the
he played
Eagles, the
well
Giants.
situationally. I would still argue that Matt Stafford has been more clutch this season. And other guys too. Like I won't say Lamar Jackson because he has been honestly playing kind of down. I don't know if you guys watched that Browns game, but that was a disgusting performance from Lamar Jackson. Bo Nix is definitely up there, despite him not playing well this year. He has had some clutch moments, the Giants game, this game, for example.
Mhm.
And from a completely unbiased standpoint, guys, I think you have to throw Allen in there too. There's no way
Right. Yeah.
there's no way they're 7-3 without even in a game that he hasn't played fantastic, he finds a way to get it done.
Right.
Mhm.
And Matt Stafford in two situations where he could show off his clutchness, because don't forget they won 17, they blew out the Ravens, blew out the Jaguars, blew out the Saints, blew out the 49ers, and won close against the Seahawks. Matt Stafford wasn't really clutch against the Seahawks. He definitely wasn't clutch against the 49ers when they lost in prime time, and he definitely wasn't clutch against the Eagles when they lost by 7. I would say he was clutch against the Colts though. But in terms of this year, I would agree with what you said, Xander. Overall, you give me a quarterback, Bo Nix or Matt Stafford, I'll probably take Matt Stafford. But in terms of this year, I think it's fair to give Bo Nix the title of the most clutch quarterback in the league. Um, Getting on to the next game, I know we started with a 4 p.m. slate. Um, Probably not going to dive into every game, but we can touch on the Jets and the Patriots. Just a spread that proves that 13 points is too much for an NFL team. Drake May looked really comfortable. Travion Henderson proved that he should have been the starting running back from week one. 14 carries, 147 yards versus Tampa Bay, and then he follows it up with 62 yards versus the Jets. 5 touchdowns in 5 days. He went from being not even in the rookie of the year conversation to now he might potentially be a favorite over Emeka Ibuka if he continues this.
Yeah, yeah. And the Patriots are the first team in the league to 9 wins. My question is, are they the AFC favorite? Do you guys think that the Patriots are the AFC favorite?
They have the potential to be the number one seed in the AFC. Obviously, you've got to think about the Colts up there too. But depending on who makes it into the playoffs, playoff experience will prevail every time. It always does. And so you see Kansas City somehow march their way back into the playoffs. You've got to consider them a factor. You see Buffalo make it into the playoffs. You have to consider them to be a factor. Other teams, too, like the Ravens, if they get their way back in, they haven't had a ton of playoff success, but they've been very good in the wild card round. They're going to make some noise too. I don't think it's right to say that the Patriots are the AFC favorite right now, but they're making a damn good case for being one of the AFC's best teams.
I would like to see him face a little bit of adversity before they get to the playoffs. Like we mentioned, they've had an easy schedule, but they've capitalized. They've played really well. They've beaten the tough teams they had to beat. But when it comes down to it, when I watch this team, man, I've been on some pretty toxic teams, and you can just tell from the demeanor, you can tell by the body language if people aren't invested. Everyone on New England's invested. Mike Vrabel's invested. Like, and I don't see that pep in the step. That might not even be the right word. I don't see that type of excitement with other teams across the league, and that's what gets me so excited about the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, they're clicking on both sides of the ball, really. Drake May is having a top three MVP season. Now you plug in Travion Henderson as your running back one, and he immediately finds success. 147 yards and a couple touchdowns against Tampa. Against the Jets, he has 92 total yards and then 3 touchdowns. So, and Drake May is doing this with no legit wide receiver one either. I mean, you can say Stefon Diggs is his true wide receiver one, but Diggs is old. He's slow. I mean, he's getting some targets, he's getting some catches, but
Some?
he's not the wide receiver one that he used to be. That's
Ah, man, Stefon Diggs is having a year to remember. He's having a great year this year.
I'm conflicted because he's had some few really
No.
good games, but Xander is right in saying he's not what he used to be. Think
Well,
about
right. I mean, he's
thinking
32,
right.
31.
He's having a decent year, but he's got what 3 games over 100 yards now, which is still impressive for his age, and especially coming off the injury. But
He
I
makes the
still don't
biggest
think
catches.
I still don't think that the Patriots have a number one guy. Like I don't think you call Stefon Diggs a number one guy with his production
Giv-
this.
given Diggs' age,
He
I
has
I would
19 more targets than the second most than any other person on the
Yeah,
Patriots. He
but
has
he
72
has he been
targets.
the X
compared to
factor in
other wide
any game
receivers.
outside of Buffalo and in the Jets against two bad defense?
He has gotten us some huge touchdowns. I'll tell you that. He has come up clutch in the red zone. He's come up clutch when we need first downs. He had 6 first downs versus the Jets. He's clutch, and
He's a
he's a
reliable
situational.
pass
He's
catcher.
right. He's spotty. Like you have a 3rd and 2. You expect a run or a short pass, and next thing you see a deep crosser, and Stefan Diggs is right there. He's spotty. I think he's a number one receiver, but he's not a number one receiver compared to other true number one receivers. But
Yeah,
he
that's the
is the
point.
number one receiver for the Patriots, so for sure. I think
That's the point I'm making. It's no true number one receiver. Like if you compare him to other guys, he's just not a
but
wide receiver one.
he got dumped by Houston. He's coming off an injury, and he's
Yeah, he's
having
having a great
way
season. He's having a great season, but I
right.
don't think he's that true number one guy given the other number one talents in the league. That's my point.
He's
Okay.
not going to be the guy with game on the line is going to win you a playoff game, in
I
my opinion.
I disagree with that. I think he is. I think, and he's proven that in his career. He definitely has, and I
He
think he can stay
dropped
past
a
that.
he
And if
dropped a
anything, he's playing with
game-winning
more.
pass. He dropped a game-winning touchdown with Buffalo before the injury in his prime.
Yeah, but I mean, like this, like he's playing with so much fire. You didn't see this fire in Buffalo. You didn't see this fire in Houston. He loves playing in New England. He's a different player.
He loved playing in Buffalo and Minnesota too until he wasn't getting the ball as much.
Not only does he love playing in New England,
I just don't think you guys are giving Stefon Diggs enough credit right now.
I love the guy, but I'm speaking from experience. You are in the honeymoon phase with Stefon Diggs right now, where he looks great. He's loving the team. Everything looks like it's going well. But wait for a few years down the line where one, he's not going to be paid as much. Two, he's not seeing as many targets once after this year, especially I think New England will go out and get a
Right.
number one. He won't be the main target anymore.
Okay.
I gotta give credit
I
where it's due. I mean, Diggs is putting up some good numbers, and he's doing all this with four freaking baby mamas at the same time. I mean, this dude is paying out the ass right. He's about to pay out the ass, and he doesn't give a shit. He's just all football right now.
he's a true
Playing
diva. He's a
ball.
true wide receiver one. Next game, we're gonna dive right into Max's team. Bills at home versus the Buccaneers. Probably the game of the day. The score doesn't tell you that because it's a 12-point game, but it was close throughout. Bills handled business. They played great. Josh Allen, the first quarterback with multiple six touchdown performances. He's a stud, and he just proves he's still the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. Max, what do you got to say about your Buffalo Bills?
I mean, you summed it up perfectly. Josh Allen had a hell of a game in this game. He started out very rough. Uh he had that interception inside his own 5 yard line where he chest passed it to get out of a safety in the end zone, which in my opinion, would you rather give up six or would you rather give up two? I think you take the safety there if you absolutely have to, or just try and put the ball on the ground. Don't try and force it too much. You see a little bit of old Josh Allen in that kind of play where he's willing to make those very risky throws. And that really made me mad to begin this game. He goes out and then he puts up 6 touchdowns. He's the only player in NFL history to have 3 touchdowns in the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground, and he's done it twice now in back-to-back seasons. It was a great performance from him. He had another interception in there, but that one was tipped up in the air and caught for the interception. He threw for 317 yards, rushed for another 40 on the ground, as well as those other 3 touchdowns on the ground. And he had a decent completion percentage. So the offense, despite Keon Coleman not being there, that was the big story. Keon Coleman missed a meeting on Friday, which I don't think that's the whole story. I think you could see it in Josh Allen's interview last week and also just the vibe around the team that Keon Coleman isn't living up to the expectation of essentially a first round wide receiver. He was a second round wide receiver, but he was the very first pick of the second round, and it was Buffalo's first pick. That was who they were most confident in, and he hasn't been able to show up the way that many people would have expected, and especially the head coach and Josh Allen. Um, Keon has said that he's disappointed Josh Allen, and that's not untrue. He's been very disappointing. So they sit him and they start Tyrell Shavers, who was an undrafted rookie 2 years ago, didn't make the team until this year, and then bring in Gabe Davis, who has had monstrous success with Josh Allen in past years. And those two made a huge difference in the passing game. This looked like the 2020, the 2020 and 2021 Bills, where they were just launching it through the air and whoever was open was getting the ball and they were coming down with the catch. Gabe Davis, he's gotten a lot of crap from Bills fans and from NFL fans. I don't think he deserved the contract he got in Jacksonville, but he was a great wide receiver, and he's one of the only ones that can make those tight catches with a defensive back blanketed on him. And so I was happy that they used him a little bit in this game. Tyrell Shavers catches a 43-yard touchdown. it just seemed like the offense was more stable with those two out there, and they were getting more separation than Keon Coleman could even imagine. And then James Cook gets more involved. He was getting some rushes, and he was catching the ball, which is a huge difference from what we've seen. James Cook has not been getting receiving targets all year long. They switch it up and get it to him, and it works for him. He had, let's see, through the air, he had 66 receptions on 3 catches. That's a really good stat line considering you only had 3 catches and he had the touchdown. And then defensively, that's where the issues come in for Buffalo. Let's see, you allow 106 yards on the ground to Sean Tucker and 2 touchdowns, as well as 34 receiving yards from him. They didn't have anybody else over 50 besides Sterling Shepard in that game. He caught a long pass. Um, but the offense has been what has been most concerning to me as a Bills fan, and they fixed it yesterday. They really figured out a way to put this offense together. Joe Brady had a much better called game. The defense still scares me, but if you can go out and put 44 points up, most of the time I'm going to feel confident you win that game.
And you did win that game. The Bills looked nice, and it was impressive because James Cook was pretty spotty, and he has been in times this season. You would like to get him more involved, but when your offense is clicking like that, it's hard just to switch to the run game and just ditch everything that's been working well. Next game, Xander, I want you to talk about a little bit about your Steelers getting that huge win against the Cincinnati Bengals, covering that spread.
Yeah, that was a incredible game. Well, incredible second half, I should say. The offense came out, they looked slightly improved in that first half, but it was more so of the same. Going back to that game against the Chargers, they just weren't throwing the deep ball. It was Rodgers overthrew DK once or twice. Uh, we just weren't making the plays we needed to make. And it was really frustrating to watch because you're thinking, okay, we just laid an egg against the Chargers. You're going to want to expect to have some sort of spark against the worst defense in the NFL, arguably worst defense in NFL history. And we had 10 points at halftime. So that's pretty freaking concerning. But it's a rivalry game, so not going to let it consume my mind. But
How concerned are you with Aaron Rodgers' play? I mean, obviously, he might have a broken hand, so that could
So
be concerning.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. We Rogers slightly fractured his left wrist, his non-throwing wrist. We plug in Mason Rudolph, and he instantly looked better than ever. And our offense was clicking a lot more. We were throwing to Washington, who, by the way, what a freaking dog.
Holy shit,
Six,
dude.
seven,
Yeah?
oh my
6'7".
God. Dude, that
I,
is the key to victory. You just need to plug in Darnell Washington every single offensive play because he is arguably one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. And then when you get him going in the pass game,
yeah.
shit happens. I mean, you saw it on that 20-yard catch and run. He stiff armed the man, threw his ass down, trucked another guy, and then trucked another defender to the ground on the sideline. This dude is a freak athlete. We get him going we just get him going offensively in general. Good things happen. We win the majority of our games when we get him involved in the pass game pretty often. And then the run game when we had him on the line of scrimmage, having that extra tight end to block. Jalen Warren was feeding on the ground. We had Kenneth Gainwell, who, by the way, in the pass game had himself a frickin' day. And then even Caleb Johnson had a couple good runs in there. So our run game was clicking offensively, which I love to see. And then defensively, I was really worried in this matchup. We gave up 16 catches to Jamar Chase, our first matchup against him. And then we quiet him. We limit him to 2 receptions all game. He was frustrated the entire game. Ramsey was a blanket on him. Porter Jr. was a blanket on him. Even Eccles got in there with some action. We held Jamar Chase in check, and that was the key to victory, holding Jamar Chase in check. And then the 2 defensive touchdowns, we had that pick six that was gifted to us by Flacco. I love the Kyle Duggar trade. I'm happy he's a part of our team. Paid off there. And then how about Brandon Eccles forcing a fumble on Noah Fant and then heads up play by oh fuck, what's his name? James Pierre. Heads up play by Pierre, seeing the ball out and then takes it down the sideline for a touchdown. Just a great second half, man. Offensively, we started to click a little bit with Mason, and then defensively, we just turned it up a notch, dude. It was awesome, and it was a win that kind of saved our season a little bit. We needed that win.
Yeah, you absolutely did. Xander, I've got a question for you. Do you think that Mason Rudolph's performance was a result of him playing one against what you described as maybe one of the worst defenses in NFL history, but also the fact that they were prepping for Rodgers and not Rudolph?
Uh, Neither, in my opinion.
I want to add to it after. Go.
I think the reason why he had success is because he's been a part of our system for years and years and years. He knows the playbook like the back of his hand. He's had chemistry with most of the guys on that offense besides DK. So it wasn't surprising to me that he had himself a game. Again, worst defense in the league, so that's not surprising that he found success. But yeah, he just knew the offensive plays. He knew where to throw the ball. Um, yeah, he just looks solid. I don't think that there's a QB controversy at all, but if Rodgers were to miss an extended amount of time, I'm totally cool with rocking Mason Rudolph as our QB.
Yeah, well, you've got to, Logan, I know you want to add on to it. I just want to go over the next few games for him real quick. They play the Bears, a pretty bad defense. They play the Bills, a pretty bad defense. And then they play the Ravens, a pretty bad defense. If they need to rock with Mason Rudolph, these are three teams to go against that are going to be favorable for him.
Uh, maybe. Definitely not the Ravens game. The Ravens defense has stepped it up after that bye week, and that defense is pretty scary at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Buffalo's defense, he can have some points there. Obviously, Chicago's defense isn't that good, but they had a great game against Minnesota. Granted, it was against JJ McCarthy. But I don't know. I look at these three games and I'm thinking three straight L's. We haven't won in Chicago in years. I think it's been since the 90s that we won in Chicago. Obviously, playing Buffalo, Buffalo has handed belt to ass against us several times over the last few years. And then playing Baltimore in Baltimore, you already know that's going to be a loss.
Logan, what did you want to add?
I just think Aaron Rodgers is not accurate, and I don't think he's mobile, and I think his career is over. I just think he's a bad quarterback now.
Definitely not mobile. I would actually
There are definitely points where
I
like,
wanted
dude,
to
put on the
argue
numbers.
I wanted to argue the accuracy, but fuck, dude, over the last several games, his
It's bad.
accuracy has just been yeah, it's been lackadaisical. It's been horrible.
And if you look throughout his career, especially when he started getting things going in 2008, his completion percentage has been right around like 65, 66, 67, 68. It's right around that right now. But when you watch the games, it feels like the big spots, the situations where you need a first down, you need to complete a pass to make it third or second and fourth and short, whatever it is. It just doesn't happen. And yeah, you're right. Mason Rudolph did look pretty freaking good in that game. Next game I want to dive into is the Rams and Seahawks. We touched on it just because we touched on the 4 p.m. slate before you jumped in, Max. But Max, give me your thoughts just a little bit about what you saw in that game.
All right, so firstly, I'd like to say I was wrong. I saw comments on the TikTok post saying this is a bad take. This is not going to be a shootout. Uh,
Haters.
yeah, that's okay. You got to have them. And I will admit I was wrong. I was thinking that these two offenses were going to go to war, but ultimately defense prevailed in this game. If you look back to it with let me pull it up here. If you look back to it, it was won by a game missed field goal by Jason Myers, who was attempting his season long, and it was a two-point game in this matchup in a game where Matthew Stafford, despite throwing two touchdowns, didn't play his best ball. But luckily for them, Sam Darnold played his worst ball of the year in this game. Um, and credit to Ernest Jones, who's sticking up for his quarterback, saying, if you're hating on Sam Darnold, respectfully, get the fuck out. And I respect that. But Sam Darnold is the reason you guys lost this game. Yes, he threw for almost 300 yards, but he also threw four interceptions in this game. That's inexcusable. That's inexcusable in a game like this. Obviously, the Rams defense is pretty good, but the Seattle defense was good too. And that's the only reason that this game was within 2 points because they were able to stop Matt Stafford from having an elite game. Regardless, he still threw 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over once. Um, did a pretty bad job of covering Smith and Jigba, actually. He had 105 yards. Um, so no ball knowledge there for me. But um you limited Kenneth Walker to 67 yards on 16 carries, which if you're handing the ball off that much, you might expect with the game that or the season that he's had so far. The rushing game much improved for this Seattle offense. That's not terrible. It's 4.2 yards per carry and a touchdown, but you stopped the Seahawks from their main point of attack, which is passing the ball. Apart from Smith and Jigba, there wasn't like any huge performances. There was 10 yards for 70 from AJ Barner. But other than that, you really didn't give up much, and your defense or in the Rams defense came in so clutch with those 4 interceptions. Me thinking that this was going to be a shootout, I saw the offenses and what they've been capable of this year and immediately thought that, but I should have been more focused on the defenses. And like I said, they prevailed. The Rams have been a grimy team all year when it comes down to it, and they did a good job in this one, getting that grimy win, having to force the turnovers, rely on their defense when Matt Stafford isn't playing his best ball, and then when you need him to, he goes out and gets the scores that'll put you in front. So Rams get another win. They improve now to 8-2 and take the sole division lead. And honestly, I don't think that changes the rest of the year. I think the Rams hold on to this and they will be the 1 seed in the NFC West.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw like the post game interviews, players backing Sam Darnold saying "F you if you against my quarterback." Dude, if if Sam Darnold didn't throw for 4 picks, they probably would have won that game. The Rams,
Yeah,
the real thing that was clicking for the Rams was the running game, in my opinion.
yeah,
Stafford, 15 for 28, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Kyron was 12 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. They were running all over the Seattle defense, who's big up front, good linebackers, good D line, good tackling secondary. I'm just surprised they were able to run the ball that well on them. What were you gonna say, Xander?
my opinions have not changed for either team. I still think Seattle is a great team. I still think that they're one of the NFC's best teams and make a case for a Super Bowl run. And obviously, I've been saying the same about the Rams for a little bit now. The reason why my thoughts haven't changed on Seattle is because they only lost by 2 points with Darnold throwing 4 interceptions. Yeah, he was seeing ghosts for the first time since that Patriots game, but the fact that you only lose by 2 points and not only lose by 2 points, but you had the chance to even win the game towards the end, that shows a lot about Seattle. They're a pretty stacked team defensively, and yeah, even though Darnold had 4 interceptions, he still almost mounted a game-winning drive with those 4 picks still. So. I still think Seattle's a great team. I love what LA's doing. And yeah, man, I think that the NFC West, it's still tighter than most people think. I think if Darnold didn't throw those 4 picks, Seattle wins by a couple touchdowns. So going back to the NFC West, I think it's time we talk about the 49ers. Brock Purdy is back. George Kittle is playing. Juwan Jennings is playing. CMC is still healthy. And they put up what 42 points, 41, 42 against the Arizona Cardinals. And that was probably the best offensive output San Fran has had all season. Purdy's back from his injury and he lights up that Arizona defense. And that's scary if you're a team in the NFC West. And that's scary if you're a team in the NFC in general because now the 49ers are 7-4. They're getting healthy. The defense was clicking in that game. The offense was awesome. Things are starting to turn around in the Golden State area if you bleed red and gold. Just say.
Well, I do love the offense. The offense is super explosive. They're finding ways to get everyone involved, and I love it. But this defense still, it's going to be a question mark coming into the late season. I do think the offense is enough to win him a couple games coming in the final stretch. But when you got Jacoby Brissett throwing for 452 yards, 47 for
A
57,
lot of those, dude. Sanford
Garbage
had
time.
that game in the bag in the third quarter. They're playing
I
coverage.
didn't watch this game, so that's a good point that you just
Yeah,
added. There will
Sanford.
be a lot of garbage time.
Yeah, a lot of garbage time with
I mean,
Sanford playing zone and just. cover deep.
I
So
mean, even if you get 200 yards in the last quarter and a half of garbage time, you still got 200 something yards through 3 quarters, which is good. But I do agree with what you're saying. That does make sense. They're playing from behind the whole game. Jacoby definitely probably stat padded a little bit. Obviously, no running game. The most carries they had from a player was Bam Knight with 5. So they
yeah.
just totally dish run the football and figured, yeah, we got to throw it if we're going to come back. Just
Yeah,
did,
that kind of just makes me think how big of a loss James Conner actually was for this team. Um,
Yep.
you lose your rushing attack without him, to be completely honest with you. You don't have a lot to roll with. Another thing I'll say is, again, I was wrong about the quarterback situation in San Francisco. At least this week I was wrong. Um, Arizona's defense isn't incredible, but to put up 41, it means you're doing something right. And he throws for 200 on the dot and 3 touchdowns. Um, and spreading the ball out well too to his guys. You got to give him credit for coming back after weeks and weeks dealing with injury, and after the first 2 games where he had a 2-2 touchdown interception ratio in both those games. Um, he looks like he's back, and I'm excited to see what the 49ers do the rest of this year. I just think that the defensive injuries and really what the defense looks like as a whole is still a little bit concerning.
and let's not forget, like Christian McCaffrey's probably been the most the biggest injury concern of the last few years for the 49ers. They went out and got Brian Thomas Jr. this year. I think that's a very good second back that complements what Christian McCaffrey can do, a gadget receiver who can run the ball, can run out of shotgun. You bring BRJ in, you can line up under center and just pound the rock
Yeah.
behind a good offensive line. I do like the way this 49ers team is constructed. I will still back myself with what I feel like the defense, the injuries, it could be a concern if they're facing like a playoff matchup against, let's say, the Rams. The Rams might put up 50 on them.
And they would. This defense is not good enough to compete in the playoffs, in my opinion. But I do think that they
Yeah.
absolutely have the chance to make the playoffs.
Yep. Two more games I want to talk about. Um, the Panthers and the Falcons. That was a really good game. Max predicted that right on the dot. He predicted the line should have been flipped, favored the wrong team. He was right. The Panthers have been the better team this season. Divisional matchup. Probably gave the Falcons a little too much hope, personally. Yeah, Michael Penix goes down with a career-ending knee injury. Now, that makes it 5 out of his 8 seasons in college and in the pros where he's missed the rest of the season due to a season-ending injury. But yeah, the Rams also own Atlanta's first-round pick, which is interesting, which is now set to be the 8th overall pick,
And
and they traded that pick for Michael Penix. So, the Atlanta's kind of in a hole right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because what did we say going into this game? If the Panthers were going to win this game, their run game would have to be on it. Rico Dowdle only ran for 45 yards on 19 carries, less than 3 yards a carry. And we talked about Bryce Young, except for once this year, has not thrown over 200 yards in a game. And he throws for damn near 500 or 450 rather and 3 touchdowns. He had an awesome game in this one against one of the league's best pass defenses. He tore it up. Tet McMillan had 130 yards in this game and 2 scores. It was a great performance from the Panthers. And like you said, I predicted that the Panthers were going to win this game. They have been the better team all year. They have been situationally sound outside of a few different games where they've been blown out. But against this Falcons team with an offense that struggles so much, Penix already wasn't having a fantastic game. You throw Cousins in there, who hasn't played in however long, and then you force him to overtime. And how about Bryce Young? What did I say? That Bryce Young, regardless of how he plays, will put you in a position to win the game if the game is close. They go to OT and they throw that out route to the tight end, and he takes off and gets you in field goal range. I don't have much more to say. Very impressive win for the Panthers, and they move above 500, which is insane.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm gonna let Xander you get right into it. The one thing I want to add, Xavier Legette, holy smokes! I know Ted had a great game, but finally X gets a game where people can remember that he was a first round draft pick, that he isn't a complete bust. I mean, he still could be, but that's the kind of game you need when you're in a little bit of a slump. And what else was I going to add? Well, the Panthers were consistent. Like there were opportunities where it seemed like Atlanta could have pulled away with an extra touchdown or a field goal, but it just never happened. The Panthers would just go right down the field and score right back.
Yeah. The key that we talked about was stopping the Carolina run game. And because if you stop their run game and force Bryce Young to throw, he's not a good quarterback and you're going to win the game. Atlanta stopped the run game. They held Rico Dowdle in check. They held Chuba Hubbard in check. And you're forcing Bryce Young to throw. All of a sudden, this dude throws for 448 yards against the best pass defense in the NFL. What the hell are the odds, dude? Never in my life would I have predicted a game where if you force Bryce Young to throw, he's going to torch the number one pass defense for over 400 yards. It just goes to show any given Sunday, man.
Yep.
And now the
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Panthers are somehow 6-5, and Bryce Young's leash just got a little bit longer with that performance.
Yeah,
Probably gonna convince ownership to keep him another year. But
right.
dude, like,
It's crazy how games like that can literally save your career for an extra season or two.
yeah,
Isn't it funny?
I just gotta put credit where it's due. I mean, that dude had himself a freaking game. I mean, him, X, and Tedero McMillan just
Cooking them.
had their way against that defense, dude.
Guys,
And
the Panthers are a half game out of the division lead.
yeah, that's insane.
Weak division too, though. But
And
yeah, you got to give them credit though.
yeah, and
Crazy.
with this win, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of momentum Carolina is going to have into the following week and then the week after, because they're a 6-5 team. They know that they can make not only a playoff push, but a division push. So it's going to be really exciting to watch the Panthers from here
Now,
on out.
how did the Buccaneers respond is my question because they had the loss to Detroit, they had then the bye week, and then they lose to Buffalo. And it's so 3 weeks in a row, two of them, you don't help yourself out any by losing those two games. And then you have the bye week where you can't do anything. And it just allows the Panthers to get themselves back in this race. And while I think the Buccaneers still ultimately win the division, you have to be a little bit more scared now about who's behind you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now you're 6-4. The defense is super leaky all season. Your only hope is the offense. I mean, Baker's still that guy, but when you have a great offense and a terrible defense, you're just not gonna win those clutch games against teams that do have that better defense than you and have an equal or have an equivalent offense as you. I mean, you look back to the Killer Bee days with the Steelers. You had Big Ben, the best offensive line in the league. You had Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant. That was arguably the best offense in the league during those years. But their defense was bottom five in the league, and you only get one, maybe two, three playoff wins to show for it. It's pathetic, and it's a lot like what Tampa is heading into this season. Just awesome offense, terrible defense.
Yeah.
You're gonna
The,
win. You're not gonna win a playoff game, and even if you do, you're gonna get bounced the next week anyways.
watching the Buccaneers, their defensive backs, they're so physical. They're old, they're physical, but they're gonna get exposed by a team that doesn't really have a good wide receiver group because they can't really play coverage that well. It's mostly a blitzing defense with Todd Bowles. He loves to send the blitz, and that's why I think Josh Allen kind of had his way. He does great against the blitz, and we've seen Todd Bowles get a little too trigger happy in the past. I do want to bring up though, I just saw this on Twitter. It came out an hour ago. Andy Reid on during an interview quoted, "The runs are being called dot dot dot. It's just sometimes they get turned into passes in today's world." And we talked about that. Why isn't Kareem Hunt getting more carries when he's getting close to 5 yards per carry? Why is he only getting 13 carries in the first, like 13 running the ball 13 times isn't going to work in the NFL, especially if it's clicking. So interesting. Basically, him calling Patrick Mahomes out, saying we're calling the run, but your pre-adjustments, you're switching to a pass play. It's just not working out, which is something we gave credit to Patrick Mahomes in the past for being great at switching the play, making adjustments, changing routes, being on the same page with Travis Kelsey. Um, yeah, it's just not happening this year. I think teams are kind of catching up. Last game I want to touch on Lions and the Eagles. I will say I was right, um,
You
but
were.
I'm not gonna give myself too much credit. I did
Yeah,
expect
he
this.
predicted a 30-7 blowout.
I mean, the Eagles controlled the game from start to finish. It was a blowout, in my opinion. Danny Campbell shot himself in the foot, and if I had him up, I'd show you guys. But I was texting my buddy last night before the game started. Dan Campbell is going to go 2 for 6 on fourth down. It's literally going to cost this team the over. It's going to lead to an under, and that's
You predicted that in the last episode too. You quite literally said that if Dan Campbell is going to shoot this team in the foot, given the fourth down opportunities, because he's not going to complete one on fourth down against this stout Eagles defense, and you
right.
called it. I mean, Dan Campbell, he ran the dice 6 times, and what?
Bad.
I
Left
don't
15 points on the board.
exactly, dude. You got to take those points wherever you can get, especially against a top five defense.
And yeah, and to go for it 6 times and go over five and then do it a sixth time and not kick the field goal was crazy. Not to mention the Eagles almost threw the game at the end. They were controlling it until a minute left in the fourth quarter. They decided to go for it in their own territory. Don't get it. The Lions get it, kick a field goal, and now they're down seven with a chance to get the ball back.
Yeah,
Um,
and guys, a few things. One, the fourth downs were bad. They were. You don't go for it 6 times, especially when it's not working all day. But we got to credit Dan Campbell for having success for that with that in the past, and so completely saying that, oh, this lost them the game. I think it was more than just that. I think the defensive line was just stout, and they were able to get to Jared Goff, but I feel like we can't call Dan Campbell great for making these fourth down decisions when it works and then say, oh, yeah, it's terrible that he did this game. I think he did it too much. He did leave points on the board, but
he,
that's the offense that we've praised for a few years now. On the flip side of things, is while they won, this Eagles offense still doesn't look great, guys. It doesn't. The Eagles offense is still very concerning to me. Jalen Hurts, 14 of 28, 50% from the field, and 135 yards, no scores except for that one tush push. Saquon Barkley was the reason you won this game, and he had 83 yards on 26 carries. So it wasn't like he was absolutely cooking them, but just the run game kept working for them, and that's why they won this game. There was no stout receiver in this game. They weren't airing it out. I'm worried about this Eagles offense.
Oh, definitely. You're 8-2, and you have one of the worst offenses in the league. It's pathetic, and Barkley's barely getting anything going on the ground. Granted, he's not getting that many touches, and then the past game just isn't working at all this entire season, other than that Minnesota game. One thing I'd like to touch on, and it's an NFL Twitter in a frenzy, is that pass interference call at the end.
Oh my God.
What the actual hell was that,
That was
dude?
a bad call. It was a bad call, and that's another reason why the Eagles shot himself in the foot. We saw him do it against Green Bay. They throw it up on fourth and one, 50 yards downfield, and get it, and the Green Bay has a chance to come back. Like the Eagles, dude, especially when you're known to be so great on defense and you're so bad on offense this year, it's so bipolar. Why are you making these decisions? It just doesn't make sense. It's like fireable. That is fireable. If you are Nick Sirianni and that doesn't work out for you, I'm sorry, but that's fireable, especially with how we've seen this year go. 2 games back to back, horrible coaching decisions by Nick Sirianni. Horrible. Goes against everything in the rule book as a head coach. One, you have a 3 point lead and you throw the ball up at your 40-yard line and give the team the chance to go 20 yards and kick a field goal and tie it up. That doesn't make any sense. Punt the ball back. Punt the ball. Pin them at the one. They got 30 seconds to go 75 yards.
That
And
was a
then this
terrible decision.
and
I
then this game, yeah, no, right, Max. And then this game, they're on their own 30-yard line, meaning if they don't get this fourth and three, Detroit has 30 yards to get a touchdown, or they can just kick the field goal now, kick it back to the Eagles, and stop them, get the ball back. That should be pretty easy. They've only scored 16 points. What is Nick Sirianni doing? You should be fired for that kind of shit. That's horrible coaching. That's horrible
their
coaching.
record's the only thing saving them, to be
Horrible
honest with you.
coaching. It's
Um,
disgusting.
and
Makes me
then
want to throw up.
back to that pass interference call. One, AJ Brown was the aggressor in that, if anything.
Right.
He pushed off. He pushed off. That should have been a call on him if they were going to call that. Secondly, guys, I feel like the Eagles are becoming the Chiefs of for the refs. They're becoming the new team that are getting these kinds of
Yeah, because if you
The
look at
tush push is horrible, dude.
If you look at the tush push, they're false starting every single time and they never get called for it. But when
It's,
other teams do it, they get called for a false start. Go figure.
yeah, there's no grip on it at all. None.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. It's sad. I hate when refs get in the way of really great games.
Yeah.
It's not good for the NFL.
And especially with all this gambling shit that's going on in all these sports, it just makes you wonder. Like you never would think an NFL game scripted. I have friends that are in the NFL. They would tell me, or they wouldn't tell me if it was scripted. But there's no way it's scripted. I've had conversations with them. They've told me what a day in the life's like. The NFL is not scripted. But with all this betting shit that's going on, and all these weird calls that the refs are throwing that just decide the game, and it's not even like clear. It's like, why are you throwing the flag? Pick it up. It's just costing the game, and it kind of questions the integrity of the NFL in certain situations. But
Absolutely.
if that's all, I thought that was a great episode. We banged that out in 53 minutes. We're flowing really good. Do you guys have anything else to add? Is there another game you guys would like to talk about real quick? Good.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm good too. I mean, I don't really want to talk about the Dolphins. I don't want to talk about the freaking Texans. I don't want to talk about JJ McCarthy. He doesn't deserve any words out of my mouth. That guy's Dude, I was watching some of the highlights back. That man, like, dude, the accuracy is horrible. Do you guys know the Michigan quarterback, Bryce Underwood, I think his name is? He's the Michigan starting quarterback in college. He committed to LSU and basically went on an interview last year, basically criticizing Michigan why he didn't commit there, saying they can't develop quarterbacks. And then what does he do? He flips his commitment and commits to Michigan State. And we're seeing now, like, name a good Michigan quarterback
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
other than Tom Brady,
You can't.
right? So. This is the In the Pocket podcast. Really appreciate you guys tuning in.